Welcome. We are very excited to have everyone here today. Thank you for sharing your valuable time to help guide the outcomes of this project. I'm Carly Foster, and you are also joined by many other members of the project team who will introduce themselves shortly. Before we get started, we have some quick housekeeping items to take care of. To ensure that we limit background noise, we ask that you remain on mute. When not speaking, you can mute and unmute yourself by pressing *6. We've broken the meeting into two parts. First, a short presentation that should take less than 20 minutes. In the second part, which is where we'll spend most of our time together, we will have discussions in breakout rooms to ensure that your perspective is represented. So please stay for those. This meeting is being recorded, and we will post the presentation portion of the recording on our website and YouTube, but we will not share the breakout discussion recordings. Those will be used by the project team in order to support planning efforts. We are joined today by Drew Curtis from Ironbound, who will share the community agreements that we'll use during the breakouts and during the main presentation. Drew?
Thank you, Carly. I was just getting unmuted. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad folks are here. Just to go over a few things to maximize that we're having a great discussion and a great time today and learn a lot from each other. As Carly said, please remain mute unless you're speaking. We do ask that you use one mic and only one person speaks at once. Acknowledge everyone's voice here and everyone's time that they're committing to this. If you find yourself speaking a lot, maybe you want to let others open up the floor and encourage others to speak. We want to hear what everyone has to say. And always speak from your own experience. Try to use I statements about how you feel. And then we'll ask you to maximize if there are several group members with things to share, just please say stack, if you will, and then a facilitator will call on you. Let's have a lot of great discussion today. We're going to have a quick presentation, but then we're going to get right into the breakouts and talk about stuff. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Drew. So tonight we're hoping to share information about the Resilient Northeastern New Jersey project and why it's important, how the plan that we'll develop together can help the region build resilience. What is resilience anyway? What we've heard so far, what the project team and the region team have been up to, and how you can stay connected and involved throughout the entire project. We're hoping to learn from you what matters most to you in your communities, how you've been impacted by flooding, what you want to see change and stay the same. We also want to know what factors you think are most important when making decisions and how we can ensure this process works for you. So the Resilient Northeastern New Jersey project is a partnership between Jersey City, Newark, Hoboken, Bayonne, Hudson County, and the community-based organizations of Ironbound Community Corporation, you just heard from Drew with ICC, and Hope's Cap. Representatives of these entities sit on the project steering committee, and the project is funded and administered through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and is further guided by a community advisory council. That council is comprised of a diverse group of residents from each municipality, some of which are here tonight, and we'll speak a little bit later. The CAC meets formally quarterly with collaboration in between, and they are a paid part of the project team. And the consultant support consists of an interdisciplinary team of engineers, scientists, technology developers, and planners from Arcadis. I'm Carly Foster with Arcadis. InGroup, Scape, One Architecture, Iris, Sam Schwartz Engineering, and Higher Gruhl and Associates, as well as enterprise community partners. Additionally, we actively reach out to and integrate input from local community-based organizations. We've reached out to 65 so far, and we'll be engaging actively with local state, and federal agencies that can affect risk in the flood region. And input and decision support from community members like you is extremely critical to the project's success. I'm going to take a moment to introduce members of the project team tonight. And for those that have joined a little bit after the hour, the structure of the meeting tonight is that we will have a short presentation and then we will spend most of our time together in breakouts. We actually anticipate spending about an hour and 10 minutes in breakouts tonight, and then we'll have a very short wrap up at the end. So I'd like to invite Jessica Jerry with NJDEP to provide some opening remarks.
Thanks, Carly. Can you just confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. I am just absolutely thrilled to be here. DEP, I work at the Department of Environmental Protection. We're overseeing, as Carly mentioned, the Resilient NJ program, which includes this project as well as 3 other regional planning projects within the coastal area. And we are so excited to be working, to be at the table for this project. And thank you all for coming and spending your time helping us learn about what you want to see out of a resilient northeastern New Jersey. And, you know, I'm really here to listen. And so I don't want to take up any more time. We're very excited and look forward to hearing the discussion. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you, Jessica. And I believe we also are joined by Meg Kavanaugh with NJDEP tonight. Meg, if you could just speak to let everyone hear your voice.
Hi, happy to be here.
Thank you, Meg. And we also would like to invite a member of our Community Advisory Council to share some opening remarks. I believe we're joined by Ahmed Lax. Are you on the line, Ahmed?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Hi, yeah, this is Ahmed, and just some quick talking points about the project. I just wanted to say why the project mattered to me, and I appreciate economic development, and flooding is of course a detriment to that. So finding a cost-effective solution that's also efficient is a great way to enable community engagement, I would say, as well as of course like positive progression towards ultimately a better future. And the reason I got involved in this project, and I also would believe that you guys should also get involved in this project, is because I wanted to do something for my community. Like I grew up in Bayonne, I experienced my fair share of flooding here and there, and then so in this sense, of course, I was naturally interested in learning about how we could avoid that. But of course, on the deeper level, I just wanted to give back to my community and hopefully have a positive impact. And of course, it's all our futures, like collectively, and the future is inevitable. So we need to make decisions that put not only us in a better position today, but future generations tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. And we also are joined by Lindsay Sigmund, who is a member of our steering committee. Lindsay, would you say a few opening remarks?
Hello, everyone. Carly, can you confirm that you can hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Lindsay Sigmund from Jersey City's Division of City Planning. As Carly mentioned, I am on the steering committee for the Resilient Northeastern New Jersey regional team, along with representatives from the other municipalities, Hudson County Planning, Ironbound from Newark, and Hopes. So we in Jersey City, we have our own resiliency master plan and some accompanying documents to guide decisions related to making a resilient Jersey City to protect residents and other assets from flooding, and of course, so do others in the region. However, part of what's been missing is solid collaboration with neighboring municipalities and other regional stakeholders. So with this effort, we really want to build off of work completed to date rather than duplicate or disrupt any progress that's been made, because there's a ton of important work going on. So we really want to highlight that and improve those connections between those goals and planned projects across the region through this effort. Personally, I've been working for Jersey City for several years, and we've made progress with implementing our planning efforts, but these partnerships that we're forming right now through this project will be key in continuing that work and seeing some larger projects implemented. So the creation of this plan will not only be an exercise in collaboration in the region, but will create a unified vision for the future to enhance the resiliency of the entire region. So your input from early on, so right now, is very important. So that way we can ensure that the plan not only reflects best practices and the best available science, but to have the knowledge of lived experiences of residents and businesses and other stakeholders to inform the plan. So again, thank you for being here. And, we're all really looking forward to a great discussion today and over the course of the project. So thanks again.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And we're also joined by other members of the steering committee who will be facilitating the breakouts this evening. So I'll go down the list, and folks, if you could just unmute and introduce yourselves. I'll start with Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. Jennifer Gonzalez from the city of Hoboken. I'm very excited that you're all joining us today, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say about improving resiliency in our region.
Kevin?
Sorry, just getting off of mute there. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Force. I'm a principal planner with the Hudson County Division of Planning, and I'm really looking forward to talking with everyone this afternoon about resiliency in our region.
We've got Rob Thomas on the line.
Yes, hi there. My name is Rob Thomas. I work in the City of Newark Department of Engineering. And just echoing what everyone else said, I'm just really looking forward to the discussion. And thank you all for kind of carving out time in your day to participate.
I see Sue Mack has also joined us. Sue, if you would introduce yourself. Sue, you're on mute. Okay, we'll circle back around to Sue. We're also joined by several members of the team that you all cannot hear in the English speaking session, but are joining us on different lines in the Spanish speaking session and in the Portuguese session. And so we have Barbara from Hope's Cap Inc. is joining us in the Portuguese session and supporting that team there. And then in the Spanish language session, Natalie Augusto Filion is with the city of Newark. And Drew, I know you spoke a little earlier, but I don't think you had the opportunity to introduce yourself.
Hey, hello again, y'all. I'm Drew with Ironbound Community Corporation in Newark. Excited to talk to y'all today.
And we're also joined by several members from the consultant team, and I'll allow us all to introduce ourselves in more detail once we do the breakouts, just for time. So what is Resilient Northeastern New Jersey? You all heard from, oops, I'm sorry, I accidentally asked somebody to unmute. You all heard from various members of the project team, and the goal is to develop a regional action plan that addresses flood hazards in the region now and 50 years from now. Lindsay mentioned that we're working to, oh, Sue, did you come off mute?
Oh, no. What?
I think that was Sue. You heard from Lindsay that part of the goal, Sue, are you going to introduce yourself?
Speaker. I've been on this all day long. Yeah, would you? Oh, Suzanne Mack is talking.
Sue, are you going to introduce yourself, or can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to mute Sue. So Lindsay mentioned that part of the goal of the project is to tie together existing initiatives into a cohesive strategy, also to help fill in the gaps. And a big part of this is to ensure that all of this plan is developed based on what the people who live, work, and play in the region say they need. That requires collaboration from a wide variety of stakeholders and technical specialists, as you've heard already, and ensuring that recommendations will actually work and improve quality of life, as well as reduce risk and promote regional investment, are all priorities. And so that's going to mean thinking about the environmental, economic, recreational, and other benefits that the effort can provide. And many people so far have told us that they want to see the project leave a legacy of cooperation and collaboration within and between communities, as well as empower community members and provide a significant focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. A regional planning effort like this could affect people's lives for generations, and input from the people who live and work in the area is at least as critical as technical data and analyses. So diversity, equity, and inclusion, as we mentioned before, is central to the mission of the project, and the team is working hard to integrate those principles into every aspect of the planning process. The steering committee has established definitions of those terms. So diversity means embracing variety and differences in the people who participate in the project, and equity goes beyond equality and means ensuring that decision-making processes and project outcomes are responsive to the diverse needs, challenges, and histories of people who could be affected by the project processes and its outcomes. And we can achieve inclusion by ensuring a diverse group of people feel welcomed into the project. And also the group is open to and wants to evolve how we talk about this and other topics throughout the project based on the feedback that we hear from you and other stakeholders to continuously improve. Some of the things that we're doing right now to work to incorporate these principles, I mentioned a little bit earlier that the team includes 2 community-based organizations and has also reached out to more than 65 community organizations on feedback for how to move the needle to be more inclusive in the process. Based on early feedback, we're trying to provide as many different ways to engage with the project as possible. And we'll talk about those different ways to engage in a few minutes. Right now, we're providing surveys, community art projects, and project flyers in Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Polish, Hindi, Gujarati, simplified Chinese, Korean, Tagalog, and Haitian Creole. And today we have engineers and specialists from our project team who speak Spanish, and we have Portuguese and Spanish translators for language inclusion. We offered this session to be phone only for those of you who may not be able to use video or laptops for any number of reasons, or at this particular time of day. And we have a second meeting directly after this one via Zoom, and that will have an American Sign Language interpreter. We've also convened the Community Advisory Council, as we mentioned a moment ago, and you met Ahmed, who sits on the council. And that council is formed of residents who live within the community and represent the demographics of the community. And they have a very big voice in the project processes and outcomes. So what flood risks is the region facing? The project is going to talk about flooding in 2 different ways. We're going to talk about storm-related flooding and non-storm-related flooding. Storm-related flooding can come from major rain events or coastal storms like hurricanes, tropical storms, or nor'easters. And the water from these events can flow into homes, businesses, and streets, and other important community assets, and can come from the sky in the form of rain. It can come from beneath us when the storm systems overflow. It can come from the sea through storm surge, or it can come from rivers. Non-storm related flooding will most commonly come from high tides, when the pull of the moon pulls water higher in certain areas. And over time, both storm-related flooding and non-storm related flooding are getting worse, both due to changes in sea level rise and in rainfall amounts. And that can also affect groundwater and drainage systems. Almost 10 years ago, Hurricane Sandy impacted this entire region, but flooding also happens in other ways here. All 4 municipalities have neighborhoods where regular flooding occurs when there's heavy rainfall. And flood risk can exacerbate other issues felt by communities. The region has a lot of brownfields or contaminated sites, and flooding can release hazardous materials from those sites into the environment and neighboring communities. And that can cause and lead to concerns about long-term health problems. Repetitive flooding can lead to disinvestment in communities where deliberate action is not taken, and that can deepen inequality. And if not planned inclusively, solutions themselves can deepen inequities through inadequate solutions or solutions that disproportionately benefit some and not others. So what do we mean when we say resilience in the context of this project? So we know that it is important to take action in both the near and the long term to reduce those risks. Resilient Northeastern New Jersey intends to increase flood risk resilience across the region, which includes risk reduction, but goes beyond it. Resilience is our ability to change, adapt, and respond to changing conditions or sudden storm events, for example, but also still work and grow to improve quality of life. It requires strength and adaptiveness across all social, environmental, economic, governance, and physical infrastructure. It means thinking about how flood protection might provide additional value to the community and quality of life beyond reducing risk. It means thinking about infrastructure and places you rely on every day that we may not always even be aware of, both in and outside of the region, and how these work together as part of an overall system and what it will take to make these systems more resilient. Increasing resilience involves creating places that can continue to change with changing conditions and ensuring that decision-making centers the needs and perspectives of people who could be affected by those decisions. We're working towards creating an action plan for release in the spring of 2022. So we're at the very beginning of this process. And to get there, we will have to incorporate existing materials and past engagement documentation to ensure that we're not leaving things out that have already been said. We've been doing a lot of existing research, completing technical evaluation to make sure that whatever is recommended is technically feasible and will reduce risk in the way that we think it will, and obviously community engagement to guide all of it. And so in the last few months and in today's meeting and into the summer, we're focusing on developing the regional vision. The vision tells us what you want the future to look like for your communities. Any recommendations in the action plan must be in alignment with that vision. And later this summer, we'll be asking you if we got the vision right and what adjustments are needed. We're conducting a risk assessment based on new data developed by NJDEP, all the historical data about flooding that we can get a hold of, and input from you and others about how and where you currently experience flooding. That's going to be part of the exercises today. And NJDEP developed new models that will tell us what rainfall flooding, flooding from high tides, and flooding from a Hurricane Sandy-like storm could look like with sea level rise and increased precipitation over time. And we'll dive deeper into the risk assessment when we meet in late July. We're going to have another meeting in late July. Our team has been developing a toolkit, which we'll talk about also during the breakouts. That is basically the buffet of things that might potentially be appropriate for use in helping reduce flood risk in the region. That might be physical solutions like a flood wall or green roof or rain garden, for example. It might be policy like land use codes. It might be more community-based, like community-based partnerships, like increased capacity building. It's a framing tool, the toolkit is, for both the technical team and stakeholders to help us begin from similar places of understanding about the technical considerations that often guide these types of decisions. And all of these factors together are going to help us develop hypotheses for evaluation criteria, which we're going to dive into today as well. Basically, that criteria means what factors are important to consider when developing flood risk resilient solutions. Based on all that input and assessment, which is going to be taking place from now through the summer, we're going to develop 3 potential solution or scenario options across the region and share them back to you to see what we got right and see what needs to change and how to refine them into one proposed action plan. The scenarios will basically be 3 different ways the region could look in the future based on everything we've heard and seen so far. They're effectively combinations of potential projects and actions that form one cohesive roadmap for the future. So far, we've been working with the Community Advisory Council, community-based organizations, as well as through various digital means, through our hotline, for example, to collect input. And during the breakouts, we'll talk about some of what we've heard. We've heard that people are concerned about property damage, loss of life, impacts to water quality, release of hazardous waste. For the vision for the future, we've heard that people want to see waterfront walkways completed. They want to be able to have their communities be more walkable. They've been sharing a vision for cleaner, greener streets, more trees, more resources during disasters, projects that create green jobs. And we've heard a lot about creating deeper community connectivity. And so during exercise 1 of the breakouts, we'll continue that conversation about your ideas and your experiences regarding your vision and flooding. So as I mentioned before, this is just the beginning of a year that we're going to spend together working through steps to develop that action plan to build flood risk across the region. We expect to have another public meeting in late July to advance on what we talk about today, diving deeper into risk and tools to address that risk. And in the fall, we'll dive into possible scenarios to refine them into a final action plan over the winter and next spring. And in each wave of the project, we're going to share back what we've learned so that we can refine it with you before it's finalized. We have published a report called the About Our Region report based on documentation we received and reviewed at the very beginning of the project to make sure that we understand the context within which we're working. We're hoping that you will take a look at that report. It's available on our website at www.resilient.nj.gov/NENJ, www.resilient.nj.gov/NENJ. And we're also working on making the report available at local libraries, and we can repeat that again later. We'll also be having more meetings, as I mentioned before. We've got the website, social media. You can also contact us through email, and we'll be sending out emails if you signed up to receive emails from us. We're also putting out surveys roughly each season. Our spring survey is currently live and contributes directly to the project work. You can access that through the website. There are print versions available within the municipalities, as well as through social media. And we've also developed materials for you to conduct your own meeting about the project. They're available on the website and include both content and a link where you can share feedback from your meeting. If you want to have a dinner at your house, meet with friends at a park, have coffee, hold your own phone call, the material, you could use our materials or not use our materials and provide us feedback through, the link, or you can provide us feedback through our hotline. And so if you want to take out a pen, I'm going to also share with you the number to our hotline that you can call and leave feedback on. It's 201-275-0861. 201-275-0861. And we've also created an app for smartphones called the IRIS app, IRYS. And that's a great way for you to provide feedback whenever or wherever you are. Okay, so the breakouts. Please stay for the breakouts. Here, this is where you'll be able to share your feedback directly to the region team. In the breakouts, exercise 1 will cover your vision and priorities for the future, your experience with flooding. Exercise 2 is going to talk about parts of your community that matter most to you that you want to maintain into the future, or things you think might be missing. And exercise 3 is going to dive into the toolkit, where we'll talk about the most important factors to you to consider when looking at different solution alternatives. And everyone will be auto-assigned to breakouts, and they'll be facilitated by members of our steering committee. So all the feedback that you share is going to go directly into our project team and will be directly integrated into the project. Before we move into the breakouts, we're going to have about 2 minutes for questions. And if we don't get to your question, there are the breakouts. And as a reminder, you can unmute yourself by pressing *6. So this will give us some time to allow Megan to assign breakouts. Does anybody have any questions for us before we move into the breakouts?
Hi, this is Carl Hetzel. I live in Bayonne, and I have been living in the same house since around 1974. I can usually expect 1 or 2 flooding events each summer due to thunderstorms. And this is, in my opinion, that the combined sewer system is inadequate to take care of these 2 occasions. The question then is, how much water or volume of water is needed to end up having a combined sewer overflow? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, Carl. And I am not sure if Sue, do you have the answer to that question right off the bat? If not, and just so you know, Carl, any questions that we don't have the answer to right here, we're taking them all down, and we'll be providing information following the project.
Carly, I
Hi,
don't,
this is
but I will get it from Tim Boyle.
Thanks, Sue. And Sue, did you want to introduce yourself? It looks like you're able to speak now.
I had a problem before. I'm Suzanne Mack. I'm the city planner. Work with Bayonne team. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Hi, Sue Mack. I'm Carl Hetzel, and I'm a licensed planner for the state of New Jersey and also a licensed engineer.
Great to have you, Carl. Okay, so Megan, are you ready to launch everybody into their breakouts?
Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go.